Hello and welcome to Zekism Games. Today we're going to be talking about the news or the trailer for 007 First Light that came out last Thursday or Friday on the PlayStation reveal. And when I started a YouTube channel, I didn't want it to turn into a rant or moany session. So I'm gonna say I've got a lot invested, as you can tell by my British accent and lispy voice. I've got a lot invested in the James Bond films, as a lot of Brits do. You know, it's loved across the world, and you shouldn't have ownership over franchises. Blah 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 blah. I know, I get all that, but I feel like this game is not aimed at me, a classic James Bond fan. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's not aimed at someone who's nearly 40 years old, has had a lot invested, like I said, in James Bond. I don't think there's a lot here for me, and that's fine. That's all clearly not who they're going for. We'll go into the article a little bit here from IGN. It says, look, here we've got our first look at IO Interactive's new James Bond game, 007 First Light. It's an origin story of the infamous spy, showing how he earned the number of 007. So far, everything we've seen has been cinematic and story focused, so there are still plenty of questions lingering about how First Light will play, and who exactly this new Bond will be. Yes, so if I skip to the trailer, we'll just make that a little bit larger here. And we'll go through. I mean, straight away you see here's M and an advisor within MI6, I'd imagine. I hope the graphics improve a little bit, especially on the facial complexions, because if I won't play it because I'm worried about copyright, but certainly there is a suspect facial sort of. It's the mouth that's the problem. When they move, their articulation on the mouth is not natural, very uncanny valley. Here we are. Here's the new James Bond, and to me, I look at that and I think Uncharted. I think Nathan Drake. I think Tom Holland to a certain extent. Again, there's a little nothing wrong with that, but that's not a James Bond I recognise. Again, and again, not trying to be negative for the negative sake. I'm saying me as a classic James Bond fan. Me who wants to, if I was looking for a game to play such as GoldenEye back on N64, Nightfire back on, I had it on GameCube and PlayStation back in the day. That was a game that was really good, really original, had original story, original villains, but paid homage due to the fact that the old skins, from a character point of view, the old enemies, the old accomplices, the support characters, either the ones from MI6 as well as the sort of the Bond girls, which I know is a controversial thing in this day and age. I won't go into that. I'd imagine that's going to now it's in the ownership of Amazon. I would imagine that term is going to be sort of diluted or destroyed somewhat. Won't go into that. But this is a Bond I don't recognise. This is a fresh-faced take on James Bond. He even dresses differently. I get it. I understand that they're looking for new audiences. It's probably an Amazon directive. You need to make this guy young and fresh, because we need to get young people liking James Bond. I would argue there is much to like about James Bond's lore and James Bond's classic. Here you are. He's in a nightclub. James Bond's in a nightclub. Do I need to say any more? It's no. I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm just saying he hasn't. Yeah, I suppose it's. So I put it this way: this trailer did not fill me with a lot of confidence. I'm hoping it's going to be better, and I will play it when it comes out. I'm not that sour, but I feel like this is going to be a original. Yeah, well, I mean, we know it's an original take here, and there's the new Bond. There we are, coming 2026. So we know it's a new Bond. We know from this article alone that it's a new James Bond. Here we are, the head of the studio. I think from the get-go, that was extremely important for us that we'd be able to put our fingerprints on this. this is the first game we are making that's not our IP. IO is a creative house that's created 5 original IPs, and we are doing the 6th. Yep. So we have to pour something of ourselves into what we do. It was such a huge opportunity to take such a beloved franchise, and then a privilege to be able to pour our originality into that. And our take was, well, we wanted to reimagine his becoming story. We wanted to reimagine a coming of age, this young man with all his quirkiness and optimism, his wits and his personality, getting introduced to these intrigues and espionage, this harsh world of dog eat dog, and how he fares and how he manages that with his inner values. There's not a lot wrong with what he says there. It's just putting into words is sort of not what you want. James Bond is so cool and suave and sophisticated, and he does whatever he needs to do to save the world, win the day. I'm not seeing that there. I'm seeing a modern young man who's full of beans and you know, excited about optimism. There we are, optimism. That is not a word I would use to describe James Bond. There's lots of words I would use. That's not one of them. And I'm coming from you know, as big a fan as you could probably get of James Bond. I still watch all the old films. I love them whenever Amazon chooses to put them on Prime, which again is another issue I have with Amazon owning it, but we'll get into that now. So from a gaming point of view, I think all I want is a good game, but a game that's faithful to James Bond. I mean, this location, that looks very Bond-esque, very sort of tropical, and that car doesn't fill me with much. That doesn't look like a typical Bond car, but then what is nowadays, I guess, so I'll ignore that as well. Yeah, this looks like a location that could be something Bond would be sent to. And I guess this looks like an M lab, potentially, if that's who M is there in the white coat. I imagine that's who that is. So look, I went through this a little bit with the redesigned Avengers game from 2021 or 22, in terms of them not looking like or not behaving like characters I knew and loved from the films. And there was the Guardians of the Galaxy film game. Guardians of the Galaxy game was a bit like that as well. And you sort of shrug that off because you go, okay, it is what it is. But the lore is so deep in Bond. You know, this franchise, and I hate calling it a franchise, but this franchise is so revered by especially Brits that you just think, okay, now it's in the ownership of someone else and they're doing something different with it. Like I said, all I hope is that this is a good game. This is fun to play, and if it gives me, I could be generous, about 30 to 40% of me being James Bond when I'm playing as him, I'll be satisfied. Any more on that I think is a bonus, but I think these quotes here don't fill me with much hope that it's gonna be based or aimed at me. It's aimed at a younger audience. It's aimed at young people to get them excited about Bond, probably because they want to start introducing a new, younger, fresher, more optimistic James Bond from the film's point of view. But we'll focus on the games for now, and all I hope is that this game is fun. The trailer didn't fill me with much hope, but or much optimism. There you go, there's that word again. But I think if they give me a good game that's fun to play, the story's good, engaging, and introduces characters that you would find in a James Bond film, one of the good ones, and a compelling villain, then I'm sure I'll get over it. But yeah, those are my thoughts. If you agree with me or disagree with me, if you've got any other takes about this game or the potential game or the franchise in general being in the hands of Amazon, then let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a discussion with you. If you could drop me a subscribe, that always helps. That would be really great. If not, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.